recording. Excellent. And it's a super cold day today, so we're going to take our time on the warm-up. I'm going chin up and down. We noticed in yesterday's yoga class that the cold weather makes everything just stiffen up a little bit. So we're going to give it a chance to loosen up. And just take your neck through the full up and down range of motion. And then I'm going to bring chin parallel to the floor and look left and right. Gently. I'm trying to find a path that does not make noise or that makes as little noise as possible. So one of the things I'm doing is making sure my head is back here over my shoulders. That lines up my spine so that I get less rubbing and crunching. Beautiful. Then I'm going to tilt one ear to the shoulder, roll the chin down to the chest, and roll the head over to the other side. And that feels delicious. I might do a few of those back and forth. Again, I'm searching for a path that does not make a lot of noise. Oh, good. There comes Shirley. Excellent. And the way I find that path that does not make a lot of noise is by trying to rotate from right where my skull hits my neck. And anytime you find a tight spot, feel free to just pause there and take a deep breath, let it relax. Beautiful. Let's loosen up the shoulders. I've got thumbs forward and I'm going to reach and reach. I've got elbows straight and I'm just going up as high as the shoulders want to go. No pain, no trouble. Maybe as you loosen up, you find you get a little more range. Maybe not. It's okay. But you know, we are always very respectful of our shoulders because we spend our whole lives not paying close attention to them and what they need. And now when they start to complain, we're going to listen. Beautiful. I'm going to bring my elbows up, my arms like goalposts, and sweep the elbows together in front, and then open up and pinch the shoulder blades together in the back. So I'm stretching across the upper back and then across the chest and shoulders. And I am feeling yesterday's workout this morning, which is good. I'm just the teeniest bit sore, which is fine with me, but it doesn't really hurt. Excellent. Bring your arms down by your sides, give them a shake if you want. And I'm going to do nice, small, easy circles. I'm focused on circling at the shoulder joint. Really feel that ball in the socket movement. If that feels good and doesn't hurt, go ahead and make them a little bit bigger. You're drawing blood into the muscles, you're drawing synovial fluid into the joints, you're warming up, increasing the temperature. So before we start moving fast, I'm going to switch directions here. Before we start moving fast and adding weights and loading those joints and muscles, we're going to get them nice and warm, which is harder to do when it's so cold. So just focused on those circles. And that feels pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, I've got a wide-ish stance with my feet, belly button drawn in a little bit, shoulders back and down. And I'm just going to take an easy side bend. Once again, I'm starting small and slow just to see what's going on in there today. definitely feels a little stiffer than usual. So give yourself time to warm up. We're just taking your spine and bending side to side. And then we're going to take that spine front to back. So I'm going to hinge at my hips, hands on my knees for cat-cow, starting out with a nice long line from head to tail. Then I'm tucking the tail between the legs and just continuing to arch the back. Tuck the chin, point the nose toward the belly button, and then extend again through the spine. Rock the pelvis the other way so you're pointing your belly button at the floor, and then reach up and out with head and chin and chest. So those are your end points from cat to cow. Normally we do this all the way down on the floor, but for the warm-up, it's better like this. And we're just going to take our time. And loosen up all those muscles in your back that get stiff overnight or when you're sitting a lot. And I'm trying to make every vertebra in the spine move a little bit. Some of you will find you're more flexible in one part than another. And that's okay. Then coming back up to upright. So we went side, side, front, back. Let's go in a rotation. So wide stance with your feet. And I'm just going to gently twist one way and the other, pulling up super tall as I twist, thinking about opening up the spine like a slinky so that there's room to twist without the vertebrae crunching on each other. And as I loosen up, I might let my swing loosen up a little bit. Beautiful. And I'm going right into hip circles. So bringing the lower body into the rotation here, big hula hoop circles. I think I might have psyched myself out on this morning's workout. I've convinced myself that it's going to be so hard. And now I'm dragging my feet on the warm-up. It's not going to be that hard. It's just a smidge harder than we've been doing. And you know, there are always ways to turn it down. I'm going to switch directions. Nice. Then I'm going to take one hip at a time and do circles. Hold on to your cat tree if you've got one. So I'm just going to circle the knee in the air so that the hip goes through its big range of motion. So do feel free to hold on to a piece of furniture so that you can focus on loosening up the hip more than balancing. We'll do some balancing too later. So I'm making the circles as big as I can without pain. And then switching directions on that same leg. Because we will do a lot of work on those hips. You will want them to be warmed up and ready to go. Beautiful. Switching legs. Circle one way. So the warm up is our chance to warm up, but also check in, right? We're just going from head to toe and finding out what's complaining today. There's almost always something that's a little reluctant to get started, and we're just going to tune into that. I'm switching directions on that leg. So you know if something feels tight or stiff or sore, when you start moving more quickly, and with the weights, you're gonna pay attention and just be gentle with the part that doesn't want to move today. I'm down at the ankles, and I'm gonna circle 1 foot one way. And I'm gonna take that foot the other direction. And then to the other foot, circle one way. You don't have to bring your foot up this far. I'm just bringing it up this far so you can see it in the shot. And circle the other way. Excellent. And I am going to throw in a couple of windmills as part of the warm-up. So wide stance with your feet, wide wingspan with your arms, belly button in, and I'm going to hinge at the hip, rotate toward the opposite foot. Hip pushes back for you to lower, and hip pushes forward to come up. You can have a soft bend in your knees. You will feel the stretch in your hamstrings as you do this, so go gently. This might also get your heart rate up just a teeny bit, which is a good way to get ready for our first interval. So we're doing paired intervals, 70 seconds of aerobic work, followed by 70 seconds of strength work, and we're doing multiple repetitions of that. So different exercise in each interval, and just follow along. So I'm gonna, ready or not, hit go, and we're gonna start with hamstring curls. So kick up your heels one at a time. You're stepping side to side, kicking yourself in the rear. I'm also going to add the row. So pull and pull. You can always do one or the other, and you can find your pace. So we're going to sustain this move for 70 seconds, which will feel like nothing or a lifetime, depending on how you feel today. If you want to make it harder, go bigger and faster. Take a little squat in between. If you want to make it smaller, easier, you can decide. I'll tell you, you're more than halfway through with this interval. And you're doing great. So far, you've survived almost 60 seconds of this. So we're into the last 10 seconds. These are your bonus 10. So if you feel like sprinting, go right ahead. Or not, that's fine too. All right, I'm grabbing weights for the next interval. So if you have weights, great. If you don't, doesn't matter. Belly button in, I've got elbows bent, palms up. I'm gonna do a push forward, pull back, elbows stay close, rotate out. Push, pull, rotate. So it does not matter how far out you can rotate. What matters is that you try to keep your elbows in close so that you're actually rotating rather than abducting, right? This, not this. So push it, pull it, rotate. I'm keeping the weights right about shoulder high, maybe a little bit below. And chances are you're going to feel this first in the front of your shoulders and your biceps. You can always slow down. You can always put the weights down if you wear out. And you're almost done, just like that. Excellent. I'm going to punch and kick. So kick with one foot, punch with the opposite hand. You can punch low or kick high, whichever works for you. If you need to just hold on to something and kick, that works too. But if you can get upper and lower body working at the same time, extra double bonus points. So take it at a pace that works for you. It's not just your heart here, it's your joints. Sometimes the knees don't like it if you're moving too fast, or your shoulder might not like a big, fast firm punch. Place it, control it. Tune into your own body and what it's willing to do. You're more than halfway through. In fact, you are in your last 10 seconds. So knock out your opponent right about now. I've never seen anybody punch and kick at the same time. Maybe they do that in mixed martial arts. That's that one. Beautiful. I'm going to take one weight, overhead, wide stance with your feet, belly button in. If you can't reach overhead, here under your chin is fine. We're doing the Samba roll. So I've got belly button drawn in, and I'm rolling my rib cage around my spine using those abdominal muscles. The weight draws a circle in the air. Easier is a smaller circle. Harder is a bigger circle. Harder is a bigger circle with a heavier weight. And we better switch directions because we're halfway through. So again, you want to keep it where it's challenging, but not a strain. We have a fair amount of abdominal work today in our standing up portion. So get good at lacing up that corset. You're in the last few seconds. Beautiful. We're doing a side lunge next. So I'm going to step to the side. My hip is going to go back, and then the knee is going to bend. Push off to come back to center. Step side, hip goes back. Push off to come back to center. You can take a smaller step, so you have to push less hard. You can bend the hip and the knee slightly less, or you can really dig in and take a deep lunge and push hard to get back to center. It's totally up to you. I'm alternating one leg and then the other. If you've stayed on one leg, it's time for you to switch because you're more than halfway through. And that is a beautiful thing. And this is one where you really have to listen to your own joints, your hips, your knees. You take this in a range of motion that feels good for you. That's the only right way to do this, is the way that doesn't hurt. Beautiful. We're going to grab weights again. One in each hand. Stand up tall. I've got palms to the back, straight arms, belly button in, lift to the back. Maybe hold for a beat so you feel your upper arms working, and lower with control. So we're working the backs of the upper arms. You have to really work to feel the contraction and then try to hold it as you lower. You're halfway through. And you should be getting tired. If you're tired, put the weights down. You're in our last 10 seconds though. So see if you can dig in just a little bit deeper. And you're done. Fabulous. Crocodile chomp. So I'm reaching overhead. My arms are my upper jaw. My leg is my lower jaw. And I'm chomping and chomping. Easier is bent knee and smaller bites. But think about this as not just an aerobic move. This is very much an abdominal move. I'm crunching right through here, pulling my rib cage down as I chomp. So bigger and faster is harder. Slower and smaller is easier. Pick your poison, pace yourself. You got just about 20 seconds left. And I know you can do it. I know this is everybody's favorite. I love it. I don't know. I just like the things that make me feel like a kid, and that's one of them. Grab your weights. We're going to open our newspapers. So our mysterious disappearing newspapers. I'm holding my weights together about belly high, and I'm going to pull open the newspaper. So I'm pulling my arms out and back. I'm using those muscles in my upper back to do this. I'm doing it with control, so I'm not swinging or flailing, just pulling up and open, really feeling the squeeze between the shoulder blades, not going any farther than the joints want to go, and feeling free to put the weights down when your shoulders get tired. We really want to listen to them. If they get fatigued, we want to back off. You've got just 12 more seconds left. Really squeeze in the back, up and out. There you go. That is that. Beautiful. I'm tucking my fingertips behind my ears, taking a wide stance with my feet. I'm going into a squat and coming up to a side leg raise. Squat down, side leg raise. So as I'm squatting, I'm making sure to keep my hips back behind my heels and my chest pointing forward rather than down. So squat, lift, squat, lift. If your balance isn't good enough and you don't feel comfortable doing the leg lift, don't. That's all fine. You may notice that having your fingertips behind your ears like this and your elbows pulled back really activates the muscles in your back, in your upper back. That's great for your posture. Also requires you to really hold from your core to maintain the integrity in your spine there. So down and up. This is one of those sneaky moves that's both strength and aerobic. Beautiful. That was that. I'm going to grab my weights again. Whew. I've got them racked here at my shoulders. Pinkies pointing toward you. I'm going to press one up and slightly across the midline. Press the other one up, slightly across the midline. So we're working our shoulders in the press and the abdominals in the reach over. Beautiful. So you got to keep that corset laced up. You want to move in a nice, controlled motion. That's probably the biggest, most important thing for avoiding injury is to make sure you have your movements under control, which just means being careful to move slowly enough and small enough that you've got it. That's that. Excellent. We're making such good progress. Let's go to the windmills as an aerobic move. So wide stance, wide wingspan, and here we go. Hip goes back, hip goes forward. Doesn't matter how far your reach is. You don't have to reach to your toe. You can reach to your knee or wherever your arm reaches. And again, we want this under control. So keep your belly button drawn in. Let the hips do the moving, right? It's the hinge of the hips, the push and the pull that moves you. And then you can keep your belly button drawn in. So your spine, your back muscles, they're not doing it. It's your hip that we want to concentrate on. It's okay to have a soft bend in your knees if that helps your hamstrings feel better. You're more than halfway through. And you're in your home stretch, just a few seconds. There we go. Grab your weights. I'm going to do a bicep curl from a staggered stance. So I have feet still hip width side to side, but one foot is forward of the other, belly button drawn in, and I'm just curling up Nice and slow on the downstroke. That staggered stance just makes your abdominal muscles wake up a little bit and support the spine in that slightly off-center position. Beautiful. We're about halfway through already, so I'm going to switch the forward foot just so that my abdominals stay nice and even. And I'm just curling slowly up and down. I'm keeping my elbows in close. I'm not swinging. If you have control, you could stop at any point in the arc of the motion. You're almost done. Nice. Oh, hard one next. I forgot. This is a hard workout. Okay, I'm going to hold on to one weight because we're doing the hay baler next. So staggered stance again. Your weight is on your back foot. Your dumbbell is by your back knee. So you've got your hip bent and your knee bent. You're going to drive the heel into the floor, push the hip up and forward, let the hay bale come from down here, up and across onto the truck. So that back hip again is doing the work. The abdominal muscles are controlling the rotation, but the down and up comes from the hip. And you want a nice smooth movement. I'm going to switch legs already. You're halfway through. So switch the back leg, put your weight on that back leg and your dumbbell back there, toss it up and over. You can feel if you don't have good control, you're going to throw out your back or hurt your shoulder or hurt your knee. So you want to do this with exquisite control, nice smooth movement, and you're almost done. Thank goodness, this is a hard one. Good, hold on to that one weight. Wide stance with your feet, we're going to stand up paddle. So I'm reaching out in front of me and I'm paddling down one side of my board and down the other. So I'm reaching, which makes me have to suck in on my belly button and need to keep that control as I rotate. So put down the weight if you're straining. Focus on the form. If it feels really easy, really imagine that you're pulling through water. Create your own resistance. And pull and pull. Oh, this one's taking forever. I'm getting nowhere fast. We're almost done. Trust me, 10 seconds. Last 10 seconds. It's not exactly a sprint on this one, but trying to keep the control is important. Beautiful. Put your weights down. We're going into skaters. Step side, tap behind on the diagonal, step side, tap behind. So you can make it just a step and a tap, or you can really push off, make it a bit of a hop, and sprint your way down the ice, right? So just like with all the others, bigger and faster is harder, smaller and slower is easier. And this, my friends, is a bonus interval. We already did 7 pairs of exercises, and this is number 8, which is more than we have done. And you're more than halfway through. So really, if you've got it, use it, push through that last 10 seconds. I'm going to try to sprint it just as much as I can because it's going to finish right there. Beautiful. Excellent. And just because I'm nice, I'm not going to make you do the 8th weight move, just that extra bonus aerobic move. And I totally feel that. And that feels really good. I think everybody's still standing. Sweet. So here's the other good news. Once we do our balance move, we're going to go straight into stretching. So yay. But our balance move is hard today. we are going to do a warrior 3 with a leg lift, but most of us are going to hold on to something while we do this. So let me show you the warrior 3. It's a one-legged stand, belly button in, hinge at the hip, leg lifts, arms extend. So we're trying to get that nice horizontal line, fingers to toes. Most of us are going to do this holding on, right? So try to find a position, and you can hold on to something higher or lower. Lower will be harder. The more horizontal you are, the harder it is. You're hinging at your hip. All your weight is on one leg. And then I'm going to take that back leg and just with great control, lift and lower. Oh, that's so hard. I have to really remember to keep my belly button drawn in. The upper back is working, even though I'm holding on. And the glute of both legs are working. You should feel this both in your standing leg and your moving leg. Ooh, I'm going to stand up, take a couple of steps, maybe take a big hip circle, because the leg that I was standing on is telling me that was enough. I'm going to switch directions, and we'll do that on the other side. Some of this is just to get used to bearing all your weight on one leg. Some of it is to get used to really holding on to the muscles in your abdomen to keep that integrity in your spine. And then, of course, using the glutes in the leg that's moving. So I'm switching legs, hinging at the hip, reaching long, trying to get that nice horizontal line from fingers to toes. And then when I feel good and stable, I'm going to start to lift and lower the leg, the free leg. And I'm trying to do that with control. So if you can't get your leg all the way up there, don't worry about it. Take it to where you can take it with control and lower it with control. That's better than trying to kick it up and let it drop. And oh, good heavens, you'll feel it if you're slowing down on the downstroke. Oh, I'm sure that's enough. Come back up, hip circles. Happy, happy day. Sometimes the best thing about exercising is when you stop. Switching directions. You know it's true. It's true for me just as much as it's true for you. Okay, that feels good. So I am going to do some standing stretches and then some seated stretches, maybe a few on the floor at the end. But since we're home in our apartments and most of us have something to sit on, we'll use it. So I'm going to get my weights out of my way here. And let's do standing first, though. I'm going to take one step forward. So I've got a wide stance between my front leg and my back leg. And you can't quite see this on camera, but you know how to do this. I'm going to take the back heel, settle it down to the floor until I feel a nice stretch all the way down the back side of the back leg. You can also do this leaning against a wall or leaning against a piece of furniture. But take a look at your back toes. Make sure they're pointed straight ahead. If they're pointed out to the side, you might need to bring your foot in closer to get them facing forward. It's just a slightly different stretch. And you need the one with your toes forward. So just pausing there and taking a few deep breaths, you should still probably be feeling that you're breathing deeply, your heart rate's elevated a little bit. That's all good. I'm switching legs. Step back with the other foot, settle that back heel to the floor. So I'm trying to make sure I've got toes, knees, hips, shoulders, all facing the same direction. And I'm just letting that back leg open up and lengthen slowly but surely. Nice deep breaths help here too. Help you recover from your aerobic work and also help the muscles relax into the stretches. Beautiful. Coming back up to upright. Let's do a nice forward fold. So I've got a fairly wide stance with my feet. In fact, I'm going to do this sideways to you so you can see. I'm going to reach hands together in front, reach for the ceiling, and I am reaching with my head as well. I want to get as tall as I can. While I'm here, I can't resist doing a little bit of a side bend just to open up all these muscles down the side. The stretching happens now because you're nice and warm. You've got blood flowing into those muscles and they will loosen up better. So tall again in the middle, belly button stays pulled in, hips push back. So I'm flat back, tipping, reaching out with my arms and head. There will come a point where the back of your legs say, you're done. And that's where you can go ahead and lower your arms, curve your spine down, try to keep your tail in the air, even if you have to bend your knees a little more. And hang like a rag doll, let your lower back open up a little bit down here. Now, if you want, while you're down here, and you might have your hands on your knees, you might have your hands all the way down to the floor, wherever you can go. But while you're down here, try straightening one leg. You'll shift your weight onto the other side and straighten the other leg. And you'll just get a little bit deeper stretch in the hamstring of the leg you're straightening, which hopefully will feel good. And then when it's time to come up, I want you to really suck in tight on your belly button. Tuck your hips. I've got hands on knees for extra support. And then I'm going to stack each vertebra on top of the other as I come up and get tall. Beautiful. That is nice. So grab a chair next. Let's have a seat. Chair, or I'm going to pull up my ottoman here, side of your coffee table, whatever you got. Let's see if I can get all of this in the shot. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. So, and if you want to sit on the floor too, that's fine. You'll be able to do most of these from the floor if you prefer. Let's do a stretch down the neck and the arm and the biceps. So sitting up tall, I'm going to partially tuck my chin and tilt ear to shoulder. And you'll feel that open up through there. Holy cow, time flies even when you're not having fun, even when you're working your tail off. You guys are good. So I've got my ear to shoulder. I'm going to take this other arm and reach out to the side. I've got my palm facing front. Oh, I feel the stretch just extending the elbow there. I'm going to just pause there. Feel a stretch all the way down my neck. And then I feel a stretch in the biceps. I'm going to take that extended arm and try to pull it back behind me just a few degrees, just to get a little more stretch across the front of the shoulder and chest. And I'm going to pause there for a breath. I'm trying not to tense up through the neck and shoulder here. Then I'm going to take my hand, reach my fingers to the back. So I'm reaching out to the side with the heel of my hand and really feeling that stretch down the biceps. And in fact, I'm going to pulse there. So I'm going to release that bend at the wrist and then re-engage, fingers to the back, get the stretch, release it, then go again. This one is so tight on my dominant side that it feels better for me to pulse and release. And it does start to feel better after a few tries. I feel that I can pull the wrist back farther without hitting that resistance. I'm going to lower the arm, bring the neck back up, head back up, and just do a couple of easy shoulder rolls. So really focus on melting down and melting down. You might also just shake that arm. Sometimes just giving it a wiggle is all it takes to loosen it up. So other side, slight chin tuck, ear to shoulder. Find the comfortable position there. And then I'm going to reach opposite arm out to the side, palm facing front. Pause there for a second. Use your breath. That big exhale can help relieve some of that resistance you feel. I'm going to pull the arms slightly back, just a few degrees, or wherever your shoulder lets you go, right? Just to feel a little bit more stretch there, and then pull the fingers back behind you, extend at the wrist, reach the heel of the hand out. This is my non-dominant side, so it's not quite as tight, but I'm still getting a big, juicy stretch there. And I'm just pulsing through the wrist, pulling the fingers back and then releasing. And just like on the other side, after a few pulses, I feel much less resistance. That muscle has actually lengthened. So lowering the arm, bringing the head back to center, and shoulder roll. Ugh. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's take one arm straight out in front and then draw it across the chest in front of you. You can use the other hand to pull it in close. And I'm just looking for a stretch right on the outside of the shoulder. Trying to keep the neck relaxed and the shoulder down. Nice deep breath. Excellent. Give that a shake and try the other side. Reach it forward, pull it across in front of you. Use the other hand to nudge it just a little bit deeper into the stretch. Same thing for me on this side. Dominant side is much tighter than the non-dominant side. That just reflects how much more you use your dominant arm and all the muscles in it. And then release that, give it a shake. I'm going to clasp fingers together behind me, draw my shoulders together and back. So I'm opening across the front of the chest and shoulders. And then if you feel like you've got more room to move, I'm going to hinge forward a little bit and start to lift my hands off my back. I'm doing this slowly because it's tight and I don't want to go too far too fast. Oh, that does feel good though. Come on back to the center. Let's do a figure four. We normally do this lying on our backs. Many of you will like it better from seated. Here's the tricky part. If you're on something low, like I am, and your hips end up lower than your knees, it's going to be harder. Just fair warning. I'm going to take one foot and rest it up on the opposite knee. So I can feel, this feels very different than when I do it sitting on a higher chair or lying on my back. So I'm nice and tall through my spine. I've got a big external rotation at the hip. If that's too tight, try leaning back a little bit. That's closer to how it is when you're lying on the floor. But if you still have room to stretch in that hip, fold forward over your lap. Again, slowly sneaking up on the resistance. You'll feel the muscles start to fight you. And that's the point where you want to just back off a little bit, right? You can't rush into things when you're stretching your muscles. They like to move slowly in a stretch because they're protecting themselves, right? If you go too far too fast, you get an injury. And your muscles have built-in mechanism to stop you. Beautiful. I'm switching legs. Don't be surprised if one leg is much more cooperative than the other. Many of us have uneven hip flexibility. So I've got that knee up. And you can either lean back or fold forward to deepen that stretch. Excellent. Okay, let's do a hamstring stretch from here. This is a nice position to be in. So I have one leg stretched out straight in front of me. I'm perched on the edge of my chair here, and I'm trying to be as tall as I can from head to tail. For some of you, that's all the stretch you need, just straightening your knee and sitting up straight. But if you have more room to stretch, you hinge forward from the hips. So notice I am not collapsing through the spine. I'm keeping the spine like I've got a broomstick on my back, and I'm just hinging at my hips. Again, going slowly because I'm trying to feel for when I get the resistance in the back of the leg. And as soon as I feel that, I just stop, take a deep breath. And as I exhale and relax, I sneak a little deeper into the stretch. And you might be able to do that for a couple of breaths. You might be able to sink a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper multiple times. But finally, you're going to come to a hard stop, and that's where you stop. Just before it hurts. Actually, well before it hurts. I'm switching legs. Other leg out straight. Sit up tall. Hinge from your hip. And I'm moving slowly to feel the first bit of resistance. And then I'm going to take a deep breath. And as I exhale, try to sink just a little deeper. This side is tighter today too. So that's another part of the stretching is tune in, see what's going on in your own body. It's not so much that you're trying to achieve some perfect goal. It's that what you're trying to achieve is better knowledge of your own body and your own limitations and how you're moving today versus yesterday, and what you need to do to nurture that good, healthy movement. Excellent. All right. Let's do the forward fold from seated. I don't know anybody who doesn't need more stretch in their low back. So we did this from standing up. Sometimes I like this even better from seated. So I've got a nice wide stance with my feet because I'm going to want to fold forward there, but I'm going to reach up to the ceiling, reach with my head, and then as I start to fold forward, hinging forward from the hips, I'm going to continue reaching out with the crown of my head. So big swan dive, and then at some point your hips are going to say that's as far as we're going, and that's when you can round your spine all the way down. You may be able to touch all the way down to the ground, or you may just hold on to your knees. But I'm looking for that ragdoll hang of the spine. So just hang in there for a second. I also like to take a deep breath when I'm folded forward like this, trying to fill up the lungs. And you'll feel the diaphragm actually pressing down into this lumbar area and helping open up that space that's so hard to stretch. And then to come up, you're going to draw in on your belly button, get your hands on your knees for support, and same thing, stack one vertebra on top of the other as you come up to upright. Excellent. And let's do our most rested individual from seated today. It's a little bit harder to rest, but I think you can do it. The trick is to get your spine stacked up nicely. So I've got my feet right under my knees, my sit bones underneath me, so I'm not tilted back like this at the pelvis. Sit bones underneath me, belly button in a little bit. It's not a hard hold, but it's a little hold. And then I'm trying to keep my spine, shoulders, head all stacked nicely over my hips. And I'm going to turn around to face you to do that. And I've just got my hands resting on my knees or in your lap, however's comfortable. Relax your shoulders down out of your ears. Take a second and get everything lined up. Because just like when you lie on the floor, you got to get the twitchies out. And just slow down your breathing a little bit. Big, slow breaths. Hopefully your spine is nicely stacked so your head is balanced and you don't feel like you're having to work too hard to sit upright. You can just sort of balance there. Feel the breath coming in and out in a nice, easy wave. And you're just going to gradually give up control of that breathing. Let your body take it back. So you might not breathe quite so deeply and quite so slowly, but it'll be nice and regular and gentle. And just tune into the rhythm of the breath, that gentle rocking motion. And let the exhale be the way that your body releases the tension that you might still be holding in your muscles. So you can start at your head and work your way down bit by bit, or you can maybe know where you hold your tension. So check across your brow and relax there. Maybe check your jaw. As you exhale, just soften and relax. As you exhale, let your shoulders drop down out of your ears. Maybe consciously relax your forearms and your grip. Maybe relax across your low back and your hips. It's amazing how relaxed you can get if that's all you're focused on. Just letting the rhythm of your breath encourage your muscles to soften and relax. And the tension drains down, out your fingers, down your legs, out your toes. And finally, you are just still and quiet and soft and relaxed. And maybe in that stillness, you can feel that little bit of buzz of the endorphins racing through your bloodstream, feeding the happy part of your brain, hopefully making for a very nice day. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and wiggle your fingers and toes, start to stretch and move, open your eyes. Outstanding work, everybody. That was a challenging workout, harder than any of the ones you've done in recent memory, and you still did it. So good for you. Everybody have a good day. Stay safe.